each other in high school. And then I knew Mike pretty closely because he worked with me 35 years. And so we've concocted some tales of incidents that have happened over the years through racing and work and out getting wood when I had a problem with Mike changing sides, riding in the trailer after a hot day of cutting oak, and I'd see him in this mirror and then I'd see him in this mirror and wondered how he did that. Well, the trailer was hooked up to the truck, and the truck didn't have any shocks. So as we're going down the old 2-lane Valley Parkway, Mike was changing lanes and running people off the road, and I was just driving along laughing my butt off. I was ready to stop. And Mike told me later he couldn't jump. I said, "Why didn't you jump out?" He said, "I couldn't let go of the rail on the U-Haul." Which goes back to David riding one time on top of my buggy when he shouldn't have. But this time I wasn't drinking. Anyhow, I'm going to let Jim go with this, and then afterwards we're going to open it up for people that want to say a few words about Mike, because there's a lot of people here that knew him for many years.
I met him back in '63, and we always called him Michael P. He drove a Chevy 56. Circumstances can't recall, but it had to do with alcohol and also chasing chicks. He was a fuddy-duddy, but he was a good buddy, and you know him as good as me. As we're gathered together, we're holding his tether, we're saying goodbye to Michael P. He's hovering above like the proverbial dove and like the balloon released at a wedding. He's with us today before he drifts away, and most of us know where he's heading. He's in the hereafter, but we're here for laughter, and we'll cry a few tears today. The main thing, of course, is Michael was the source of the things that we're here to say. He was a creature of habit, and by golly dag nabbit, you'd think that a friend could budge him. But we'd invite him to play, but if it was laundry day, not even dynamite could budge him. He liked his memorabilia, but he loved his tequila, especially on Saturday and Sunday. And like the rules of Hoyle, he was steady and loyal, and he was always at work on Monday. For 34 years, he worked with his peers and gained respect of those he knew. He was a gentle soul, played the noble role, just like a comfortable shoe. If it was chilly and cold, he'd occasionally be bold, drinking Kahlua in small, slurpy sips. You wouldn't call him cheap, but money was to keep. Frugal springs to my lips. He smoked pipes for a while, but they went out of style, but he loved that cherry blend. First he'd fill it and stuff it, then he'd light it and puff it in a ritual that he could tend. He'd hold it in his hand like it was covered in sand, perched on the tips of his fingers. If I let my memory unwind, I can see him in my mind like a trail of smoke that lingers. He never smoked nothing funny, not for love nor money. I just never saw him do it. But if he did, he kept it well hid. Some of you want to know where he grew it. Malcolm tried to kill him when a trailer went to spill him. Likely he could have been a jock. In a trailer full of wood, Michael held on pretty good, flapping like a flag on his stock. In a bouncing wild ride, it went from side to side. He was trying to pass up the truck. Malcolm, laughing so hard, drove over someone's yard, watching that trailer buck. The shocks weren't working, and the trailer was jerking because it was so overloaded. Mike's face was all pale as he held onto the rail, and his eyes looked like they exploded. He wanted to be a forest ranger and live a life of danger, tagging catfish in the canals. How little he knew that as his career grew, it was more dangerous to be around his pals. With his forestry degree, you'd have to agree. If they'd hired him, we might have lost him. The way fate played it out, there is no doubt not being our friend would have cost him. Michael lived a rich life, and he had more than one wife, and he restored a house and a half. He was skinny as a pole, and he had a good soul, and he knew how to make his friends laugh. Funny as it might sound, his wives didn't stick around. They didn't deserve such a man. We heard of them now and then. They settled for lesser men. Michael was gold in the pan. I'm sure God's busy, but he's in a tizzy. Michael P. wants some changes to be made. Not even God gets it right when Mike's uptight. How come there's not enough shade? He'd say, what would you bet that the thermostat's not set and somebody fiddled with a knob? So what are the odds that the fault was God's and Michael P.'s already got him a job? He'd say, let me give it a try. I didn't come here to die. It needs to be 5 degrees cooler. I need some more space, and I need my own place, and I think you need help as a ruler. So he's perking test holes for Moses without any hoses and going over new permits and stacks, trying out new wings and some other cool things, polishing his halo with wax. And I can just bet he's got a little angelette, and she got assigned to him because of her sin. And they're flying over the crowd, drilling holes in the crowd, and I can just see his shit-eating grin. Fairly well, good friend. We're going to see you again, but not for a few more years. You need time to organize the reunion surprise for each one of your friends and peers. And we'll assemble the crew in a warehouse full of brew, and if it's crowded, we won't mind it. We'll need a good guide and a good place to hide, as if mischief in heaven, he'll find it.